So I did my list for the movies I'm most excited about for next year, but there's another list, and I haven't done this before. This is the movies that I'm pretty certain are gonna suck. Now, before I get into this, because I haven't done this before, so I want to clarify this because I don't have precedent otherwise. I am not saying that I hope these movies suck. I hope they don't. I hope that they are good. I don't, because there's a pretty good chance I'm going to go and see most of these. And I don't ever go in wanting to not like a movie. I oftentimes will go in expecting to not like a movie. I can't help that, but I don't actively want to. And the other thing is, this is a short list. This isn't a top 10. And that is because I'm not a professional critic. I don't have to see every movie that comes out. So there's all kinds of movies that I can look at and go, boy, that's gonna suck. But I also don't care. Like, I'm pretty certain the sequel to Mamma Mia is gonna suck. But I also don't have a dog in that race. It doesn't matter to me if that movie sucks. It makes absolutely no difference. So something like that doesn't have a place on this list. All I have on here are movies that I'm pretty sure are gonna suck, and it matters to me that they're probably gonna suck. So, that all being established, number 7, Solo, a Star Wars story. I've got the reasons that I think it's not going to be good, and then I've got extra baggage layered on top of that, and I'll try and keep it short. So, I just think it's a bad idea. A Han Solo movie, earlier in his career, I don't understand the appeal. I don't understand why anyone thinks we want that. And the only reason I was prepared to give a benefit of the doubt earlier on was I have a lot of faith in Lord and Miller as directors, but they're not doing it. And that's not me saying they would have been brilliant. What they made might have sucked too, but at the very least, their approach is so unique that I was more curious to see it. Now, not so much. And when I said there's extra baggage, it is that without dredging up a whole conversation about Star Wars The Last Jedi again, most of the problems that I have with that movie I feel are structural, either within the film itself or within its place in the Star Wars franchise as a whole, which means they were problems that existed at the script stage and in my mind should have been in some way addressed before it ever got shot. So the reason that's a concern for me is basically the reason Lord and Miller got fired off this movie is because Kathleen Kennedy loved the script so much, she basically fired them for not sticking to it. So if I go into this movie and if it's not good, which I'm pretty sure it won't be, but specifically if it's not good because of basic script issues as opposed to just being uninteresting direction, bad performances, etc. If I look at and go, what are the problems with this story, and go, boy, the script is bad, that's really going to sour my hope for Star Wars as a whole, because that to me says Kathleen Kennedy doesn't recognize quality writing, yet she is firing directors off movies because they don't stick to a script that she has deemed to be quality. So if this script sucks, and I feel like I will be able to judge that because Ron Howard, say what you will about him, he's not a guy who does massive changes to a script. He kind of just shoots what he's given. So yeah, I've got a lot of baggage tied up in this one. Number 6, Death Wish. This might seem like an odd one for me to bring up, but how do I put this as briefly as I can? Because I don't know how well known the original Death Wish actually is. But having seen the trailer for Death Wish, it seems to be the antithesis of the actual hook of that movie. Yes, the original Death Wish is a revenge story, and so does this new one with Bruce Willis appear to be. But the reason it's called Death Wish is it's not a case of him going out and hunting down the punks who hurt his family. What he does is he goes out and deliberately goes into bad neighborhoods at night and puts himself into dangerous situations so that when people then accost him and, try and rob him, assault him, whatever, then after they come after him, only then does he enact vengeance and kill people. He's not actively trying to get closure. He actually has a death wish. He's putting himself in dangerous situations where he might die, and he's perfectly okay doing that. And I see this trailer with Bruce Willis just hunting down these people who hurt his daughter. I'm like, this is the latest version of Taken, and if they called it anything other than Death Wish, I wouldn't care. But calling it Death Wish just pisses me off. Number 5, Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Again, I don't want this to suck. but I've got a lot of reasons that I'm pretty sure it will. And no, it's not all because of Johnny Depp, although at this point, he doesn't help. He's not a check in the positive column for me anymore. And that's regardless of what you feel about him, about what's been going on with him off screen. I'm just kind of done with the guy. So I am not especially interested in this angle. I don't like how dark things got right off the bat. I want a director other than David Yates to start to shepherd this property again. A big part of what was interesting about the Harry Potter franchise was that it had such a different feel from film to film. And, you know, the films David Yates directed in that series were fine, but I really dislike that they gave the new spin-off to the guy who made the most of the main trilogy, like not trilogy, it's 8 films, octology, and I don't like that we're just now bogged down in his specific way of interpreting this world, because it's not the most interesting version, I don't think. And I also don't know how much faith I have in J.K. Rowling at this point, because I've read The Cursed Child. And yeah, so I don't know, man. I would like it to be good, but there's very little about it where I can go to and go, maybe that's the saving grace. I just see a whole series of red flags. Number 4, Jurassic Park: The Fallen Kingdom. Boy, this looks dumb. And yes, in regards to the video I made on the initial trailer, it has been confirmed that pretty much everything in that first trailer is only from the first act of the movie. So the stuff that we saw in that initial trailer is not the whole plot of the movie. That doesn't save anything for me, because it still looks really dumb. And even if that's only the first half hour, 40 minutes, and then it goes somewhere else after that, that's still going to be the movie digging a hole of dumb. And if it gets better after that, it's still not going to be great, because it's got to get out of this hole that it's dug of the exact same, let's find a really contrived reason to put people we already know on an island of dinosaurs again, only this time there's also a volcano. It's dumb. And to a point that it doesn't matter to me what you do after that, because you've lost me already. Number 3, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I've never talked about the live action Jim Carrey How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and I probably never will, because it'll just be me screaming for probably about an hour. This will probably not be that bad, but it is just as unnecessary. And it's very clear from the few little snippets we've gotten visually that it is trying to look like the Chuck Jones special, which makes it all the more pointless, because that special, as far as I'm concerned, is perfect. To try and tell that story in feature length, you have to add something. You have to add padding. And maybe it won't be the same kind of painful that the live action version was, but look at the padding that's been added to Dr. Seuss stories that have, even when they've been done animated. The padding that was added to the Lorax, the padding that was added to Horton Hears a Who, which is probably the best one that was done, but the padding was still painful. Even that original short was padded, but it was padded in a smart way with musical numbers as opposed to actually trying to add new plot elements. Whatever it is they have to do to cram into this to stretch it out to a feature length is going to render it pointless and stupid and inferior. We have the perfect version. Stop! Number 2, Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation. The Hotel Transylvania franchise, I don't hate it. It's okay. Mostly I'm frustrated that it's what Genndy Tartakovsky is spending his time doing, because he's a really great animation director and I love his stuff. And honestly, the visual styling and energy and mood and speed and pace of these movies is by far their best aspect. And I just hate that this is what he's spending his time and his energy doing. And in addition to that, like, let's just take the characters and put them on a cruise. Like, what a contrived scenario. It just reeks of Shrek the Third. It reeks of Little Fockers. You know, that there was a little bit of mileage in Hotel Transylvania 2. Not a lot, but there was a little. There were places to go. At this point, it's like, let's just put them on a boat now. It's like, no, please, just stop. And my number 1 movie of 2018 that I am pretty certain is gonna suck, I'm not gonna spend a whole ton of time on, because I have a whole video dedicated about why I think it's gonna suck. It's X-Men Dark Phoenix! So, condensed version. The people behind the X-Men franchise don't seem to understand what it is that actually makes that story work. We have to already care about not only the team as a whole, we have to care about Jean Grey specifically. This will only be the second movie we've gotten this version of Jean Grey, played by Sophie Turner. She did almost nothing in Apocalypse, aside from the fact that Apocalypse was aggressively mediocre, and I think most people have chosen to forget the movie as a whole. And they brought back a ton of actors who they think are the big marquee names, Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy and Jennifer Lawrence, and are shoving them in here when 2 out of 3 of them have no place in this story. And to put them in there and knowing just that they are the most expensive actors and the people producing this think they are part of the reason that the franchise is successful, they are going to get a whole ton of screen time, which means it's going to be less time devoted to Jean, less time devoted to Scott, less time devoted to the people that have to work for this story to matter. Everything indicates that this is going to be a raging mess of a movie, and it doesn't help that it is the directorial debut of a producer who has never directed anything in his life before. No hope on this one. You want further details on this? I'll link my original video at the end of this. So those are my thoughts on the movies that I'm pretty certain are going to suck next year. What are the ones that you are pretty certain will not be any good, but that you might go see anyways, because most of the movies on this list I'm probably going to see anyways? What are they for you? Whatever they are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Check me out on Twitter at Council of Geeks. Council of Geeks podcast is on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher Radio. I'm also one half of the Punch Like a Girl podcast. That's a presentation of the Fire and Water Podcast Network, fireandwaterpodcast.com. Links for all this stuff is down in the description. And until next time, this council is adjourned.